Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasure. My name is Jeff Pospisil. And a question that I get over and over again is, what housing expenses can I write off for tax purposes? And that's the question that I'm going to answer for you. Whether you're living in a parsonage or you're living in your own home or you're renting a place, I'm going to go over the list that I have compiled with the help of some dear friends of the housing expenses that you can write off so that you can better prepare and even reduce your tax bill, hopefully. I know I've shared this in other videos, but the IRS is pretty clear that there is a maximum amount that you could write off for housing. There's three factors involved. And the first one is what we're going to be talking about in this video, your actual housing expenses. So I'm going to go through that, but the other one to pay attention to, and I got different videos on this, is what is designated for housing. So again, some official body needs to set whatever your housing exclusion is. And then the last one is, what is the fair rental value of your house? So if you're in a parsonage, what's the fair rental value of your parsonage? If you're in your own house, what is the fair rental value if your house was rented out, fully furnished, with utilities added on as well? So that's the cap, and the cap is the lowest of all three of these. So again, just right here, it'd be that $20,000 would be the cap. So the lowest of all three of those. So that's why it's so important that you have your designated housing at least high enough to cover this. So cover your actual expenses. So when I very first started looking this up, I went over to the IRS website, and I'm going to provide some links. They do provide a little bit of material to help guide a clergy person, but they have no list on what are allowable housing expenses. I mean, at least I couldn't find it. And I looked through a couple of different publications. I want to say it's publication 517, and then there was, I think, a tax topic 414, whatever it is. I'll put the link there. They're not helpful, so I'll put them at the bottom of the link list because they don't give you any guidance on what are allowable expenses. So after the IRS failed me, I must have Googled accounting for churches because I ran across Jerry Walker CPA's accounting for churches. And he puts out a nice little electronic document. I can't remember if it's 25 or 40 pages, something like that. And just covers a host of clergy and church tax related issues. So I really appreciated that. And that was my guide for quite a period of time. And he had a little list here of what he put for the housing related expenses that a pastor could write off. And later on, I ended up running against Richard Hammer. And Richard Hammer, he's well known in the church tax world, well respected, and he puts out a yearly church and clergy tax guide. Really good. I get this every other year is what my pattern is. Every other year I buy a brand new copy. I don't even know how much it costs, but whatever the cost is, it's totally worth it. I would get a copy for your church probably about every other year because it talks about all the clergy tax issues, but also all the church financial and tax issues as well. Very good resource. And in there's another list, a little bit longer than the one about accounting for churches. The next source that I found happened to be this lady here on the right, Marilyn Perry. She's a CPA. She's one of the finest clergy tax experts that I know. Unfortunately, she's retiring, so that's too bad. But I also met Connie Buskell, and she does a wonderful job, and she's in the Sioux Falls area. So she'd be a good one to connect with if you don't have a good clergy tax expert. But I was able to compile my list then from all these sources, and that's what I'm going to present to you. So it's not just my own stuff. It's actually most of the stuff I stole from Marilyn Perry, and I supplemented it with those other sources. So the first one is the cost of the home. So again, if you're retired or you're an active pastor and you have to find your own home, here's what you can write off. The down payment, the mortgage payment, so principal plus interest. And if you itemize, you get to write off that interest again. So that's a double bonus there. Any repairs, replacements, or additions to that home. Again, the homeowner's insurance, property taxes. Also, if you're part of a condo association or a co-op or a homeowners association, you could write off those fees. And if you're renting a place, you can write off the rent payments. If you have to rent a garage too, write that off, and then the associated renter's insurance. So a pretty big list on what it is if you have to find your own place. And what utilities can you write off? So if it's your own place or if it's a parsonage and you have to pay for any of these costs and they're not reimbursed, then you could write off natural gas, propane. If you use wood for heating, you can write that off. Electricity, that cost. Water, sewer, garbage, recycling fees, your basic charge for telephone. So you cannot write off long distance. So if you have long distance on your home phone, I know even landlines are kind of going out of style now, but some of us still have landlines. You cannot write off the long distance. Internet access charges, cable TV, and this one I think is a little bit controversial, but the cell phone basic charge. So some of us are getting rid of our landline, and I think this one is allowable now too. Now, because most of us are getting rid of the landline, the cell phone basic charge. So here's the list of home services that you can write off. So alarm system, water softener service, lawn care and gardening, and then the offset to that, especially in the Dakotas, is snow removal. So you're always paying for something. It's either snow removal, lawn care, lawn cutting, or leaf removal. And then also pest control. That might be something also you're paying for. So those are the things, the services that you can write off as your home expenses. Next, I'm just going to go into the furniture and decor list. And just a note, with all these ones, I know I'm probably missing some. And again, the IRS doesn't provide you a list, but just try to keep it in your mind. What expenses are there for maintaining this home? Not maintaining the bodies in the home, but maintaining the home. So appliances, carpets and rugs, a computer is an appliance that you might have. Curtains and drapes, electronics, furniture, paintings and decor, wall hangings, all these kind of things you can write off. So even like let's just say, for example, you want to buy a computer and maybe you're going to use it partially for work. You can write that off through your housing exclusion rather than trying to write it off as a unreimbursed business expense. So that's an example of something you can do. And last one, I'm just going to call the smaller ticket items. So pots and pans, kitchen equipment, linens and towels, maintenance supplies, tools, garbage bags, household cleaners like Pine Sol and Windex, those kind of things, light bulbs, air filters and furnace filters. And by the way, I said lawn care earlier, so fertilizer, weed control, that kind of thing. Again, anything that you're using to maintain the home and not just the bodies in the home. So, all right. Hopefully this has given you a good idea. I do have a link to that list. I think it's in alphabetical order, the list that I have. So I'll put that in the description. All right. I hope this has helped. I hope you're going to not overpay your taxes because you got this list and you know what expenses to keep track of. Because that's really one of my goals is I don't want you to overpay your taxes because I think money in your pocket as a pastor is more valuable than money in the government's pocket. So that's my bias. All right. Till next time, God bless.